So you'll hear us say time and time again the words preliminary and conceptual. That's going to be the case for the next year. Preliminary and conceptual. Before you embark on a significant building project like this, the parish needs to determine what is the size of the project you can afford. Right? How would you pay for the project? So there are various sources of funding that you can turn to. A key one, though, is a capital campaign. You'll hear us use the word capital campaign, right? Raising money from the people in the pews by conducting a campaign that results in all the parishioners making 3-year pledges of what they would intend to give to support a building project. That will be a key source of your funding. The result of such a campaign would be key in determining what you can afford to do. A campaign of that sort is down the road, roughly fall of next year. There's a lot that has to happen between now and when we actually ask you to commit financially to this project. But the capital campaign will be very critical. Other sources of funding is tapping into your own parish savings, which you have. Also, there are always opportunities to reduce the costs of a project like this by reaching out and seeing who has access to trade skills and access to building materials where you can save money potentially. So we would call that in-kind type gifts. That can impact your budget. And then finally, in all my experience doing what I do, I've rarely seen a parish do a project such as this without some element of borrowing. Okay? Borrowing allows your project to move forward. Oftentimes, if you don't borrow, you delay a project, and then the costs just keep climbing. So borrowing is a key thing that could be a component of how you afford a phase 1 project that Paul put up there. So, going back to this capital campaign, it will only be successful if there is a strong consensus among all of you. A strong consensus that these plans are going in the right direction. A strong consensus that these plans are vital to the future of this parish, as opposed to doing nothing. Okay? And a strong consensus among the parish that they're ready to take that next step, to do a capital campaign in the latter half of next year, to be asked to give money. So when I throw out the word feasibility study, which is in fact the next step in this process, a feasibility study is a step to engage all of you to see how you're feeling about all this, right? Before we get to a campaign. That's what a feasibility study is. How are you feeling about the projects? And are you supportive of taking that next step of doing a campaign? And in the context of a feasibility study, I'm also trying to gauge how much might we raise. So I'll be real interested in talking one-on-one with people, seeing how they're feeling, and whether or not they might be in a position to consider even some larger leadership gifts, the gifts of $20,000, $50,000, 6-figure gifts that would be necessary to raise the significant kind of money we need to do a phase 1 project. So that's the purpose of the feasibility study, is to listen to all of you. So how does that actually happen? So in the months of January, February, March, April, so forth, when we do this study, we'll be listening a variety of ways. We're going to send out a mailing to all the parishioners. This is an awesome turnout, by the way, but yet there are still many who aren't here. So we're going to package, what's been presented here, and share more of that with all the parishioners through an informational mailing. In that mailing, there'll be a survey. So one of the ways we listen is a simple survey. What do you like about the plans? What are your concerns and questions? And then there'll be a question in that survey. Would you support a capital campaign if we were to go forward with one? Yes, no, uncertain. Okay? So it'll be a simple survey you can fill out on paper, or you'll be able to do it online. So that's one way. Also, after we send out the mailing, we'll have more of these sessions, right? So that we can get more feedback from individuals. We certainly welcome your feedback today once I'm done here, and we'll continue that process of feedback going forward. And then finally, as I mentioned before, I'll be conducting one-on-one interviews, not with everyone, but a group of parishioners to try to tap into any possibility for leadership gifts. So all that will play out in the first half of 2020. And as a result of that then, in getting your feedback, your parish leaders will have a much better understanding of the level of support for these plans, the level of support for going forward with a capital campaign, and hopefully I'll have a better sense of how much we might be able to raise so that your leaders can go back to these plans for the moment and say, are there some adjustments that need to be made? Because I failed to mention that in the course of all that listening to you, you're going to give us a lot of great ideas about these plans. So these plans will continue to evolve based on your input. And so we collect all that, and those plans get adjusted so that now it's summer and we're approaching fall of next year. We've got revised plans based on your good input, and we've heard from you whether or not you're ready to go forward with a campaign. Only then would we proceed. All right, so that's the important steps ahead, and that's why we keep saying everything is preliminary and conceptual. It all depends ultimately on your support of this and your input to make these the best plans possible. And with that, I'll turn it back to Leroy.